Hey everybody, my name is Suk. Welcome to the Guitar Workshop. And I want to talk about some of those David Gilmour bends. Man, Gilmour's been one of my favorite guitar players forever. Just a quintessential musician, right? His ability to write songs and play and solos, the right solos, and the bends, right? We've heard for years how much Gilmour can say it all with one bend. What is that bend? Well, more often than not, it's actually the sus4. So how do we look at that? It's the same sus4 you think of with chords. So if I have like a D chord down here, right, and I add the pinky, right, you hear that sus4. That's called, technically it's a harmonic sus4, a harmonic suspension, because it's happening in the chords, the harmonies. But if we do it in the melody, like if you hear a reference with the open D string, it's now that solo sound. Now that's really cool. Now Gilmour, I think when he solos, he kind of takes a general, or I would call like a global pentatonic approach, but very much he enhances that with the chord inversions and the chords as they are happening, playing the changes. So if he sees a D chord, for instance, he knows he has the original. Now if we move that up an octave, you already start to hear familiar Pink Floyd stuff. It's important when you're soloing with little inversion shapes that you treat each note as its own thing. Don't hold the shape and arpeggiate it like this. That goes back into harmonic sense, or chords. But if you take that, so when you find the major third, I'm just bending that. So I'm doing this with a half step, it's a half step bend. I'm doing it with my middle finger here on the 14th fret. So if you look at the D shape, we look for the note that's the major third. Now, if we don't know the chord names and the letters and stuff, that's kind of okay. Ideally, I think it's good to know that stuff, but you can use the shape to remind you. So if you look at this D chord, let me go back here to the old, back in the old country here. If we have the D chord, I know that the note on the high E string is the major third. How do I know that? Because that's the one that moves down when I go to minor, right? So if I see that note move, it's only one note, moves one half step. So in this case, for anything D, F sharp is major, F natural is for the minor world. And that's all scales, all everything for D. Anyways, but if you see the shapes, so I know there's this D here, so right above that major third, just a half step, that's our sus4. That's the secret Gilmour note. You can see this in different shapes of the chord. So if you went to your A form bar chord, there's the flat one I call. And Gilmour, there's the third on top, because it would become like a little A minor shape if it was that was the third is on the B string. So with that third on the major third. So it's just a beautiful sound to elicit anyways. Gilmour almost always will bend to it. He may do a pre-bend. And sometimes it can appear very subtle in the songs, but they're all over the place. He'll do this over different changes. On the D form, he does this up here on A. So when you are able to move your chord inversions around, you can take real advantage of this at a very face value level. You don't have to remap the whole fretboard every time trying to do these sort of things. So for instance, if I went down to my D chord, if I go up, if I keep my musician brain on, I know if I went up a whole step, that would have to be E. Half step to F, whole step between F and G, and then another whole step between G to A. So in time, in the song, when there's the A chord, and then in fact, he bends then up into a B note, which then when he releases, that A ends up being the sus4. Of the E chord. So Gilmour's doing this all the time. He does it up here on the D shape, an octave higher on Comfortably Numb on the intro, right? So awesome. So the main sound of Gilmour's Ultimate Bend is the third up to the sus4. And you can milk that in any number of ways, going from the third up to the 4 and back, pre-bending to the 4 and just releasing it down to the third. But here's the bonus one that Gilmour does. That's a double bend to achieve the same sus4 sound. This one, again, he does in time, but you can visualize this anywhere, really especially because it's on one string. So for instance, on the A up here on the 14th fret, he's thinking A major. Now again, we don't need to map scales out or even all the arpeggios. In fact, we can stay on one string, and I call this the easiest 1, 2, 3. Do, re, mi, right? It really, man, that stuff goes miles. Don't let that simplicity discourage you. So if I put my first finger on the A, third finger on the B, that's a whole step higher on the same string. Now, if I don't bend this, I'm going to move it up another whole step from B to C sharp, and that's the third of the chord. Now, when I know where that is, I know that that melodic sus4 is a half step higher. So again, that's A, B, C sharp, D. Now what Gilmour does so sweetly is he plays A, B, then he bends the B up a whole step to C sharp. And that should sound like that. Now when he does it this time, he bends up to C sharp and then he bends a half step further to the sus4. Coming down from a bend is tricky, so he kind of goes below the third and comes back into it again before he releases it. So 1, 2. So watch that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, back to 3. I love that. So the thing I love about learning licks and learning I call this a device. This is a Gilmour thing I first heard, and it helped me associate a musical sound with a player and a sound I knew from my recordings and stuff. Once I took this wasn't just to better play Gilmour solos, although that's a fun and amazing thing, and you can have a whole life doing that. But you can take them for yourself and do other things with them, right? You can play the sus4s in different places. You can play them in different ways, different tones, different situations. And this sus4 is out there all over the place, but Gilmour really milks it in those bends. So if you like what you hear, hit the subscribe button, the notification bell. My name is Suk. This is Lead Guitar Workshop. I love to play guitar. I love to teach guitar, and I have a lot of experience in both, and I love to share it with you guys. So I hope you join me. Go to leadguitarworkshop.com. You can sign up on our mailing list. We have a free ebook. We'll have more stuff coming out this coming year. We have books for sale, and we do lessons and stuff as well. All right, well, at the end of the day, as always, just keep playing, right?